Hi class, I have an exciting story for you today. It is called Star Wars BB-8 on the Run. How can such a small droid do such a big job? This story was written by Daywalt, who is the author of The Day the Crayons Quit, and illustrated by Matt Myers. BB-8. BB-8 wasn't used to being on his own, and it was scary. Very scary. His friend Poe had told him to run. "Get away from here as fast as you can," the pilot had said. "I'll come back for you." But BB-8 had seen the explosion back in Tanaa, and he feared Poe was gone. Now it was up to him to get a top-secret map to the Resistance so they could find Luke Skywalker. And all up to him. That was scary too. Now, think about how he's using the word scary. What moral focus value could this book be referring to? As he took shelter for the night, BB-8 remembered something else Poe had once said to him. "It's easy, buddy. You can do good things, and good things will come back to you." But how could such a small droid do such a big job? The next morning, as BB-8 resumed his journey, he was glad to come across someone else. It was Teedu, but he was in trouble. His lugabeast was sinking into the sand. "Please help," said Teedu in a language that sounded more like screeches and warbles. BB-8 was in a hurry to complete his mission, but he felt sorry for Teedu, and for the lugabeast too. Maybe BB-8 could do something for them. "Oh no, it's a trap. I'm gonna take you apart and sell you piece by piece," said Teedu. "You're even more valuable than the other one." What other one? A panel closed above BB-8, shutting out the sunlight. He realized that the only thing scarier than being alone in the dark was not being alone in the dark. Then a huge shape spoke. "Please don't hurt me," it cried, trembling. It wasn't a monster at all, just a big, gentle loading droid. BB-8 chirped happily at the massive thing. "Promise?" it asked in worry. BB-8 nodded wholeheartedly and beeped and warbled some more. "Your name is BB-8? said the loading droid. "Mine is F3ZK, but you can call me Fez." The giant was no longer scared, and BB-8 was no longer alone. Fez told BB-8 that he was part of a droid ship that was scouting Jakku. His ship was scheduled to leave that afternoon, but Fez was going to miss it because he was stuck in his cell. Scheduled to leave that afternoon. BB-8 was torn. Should he stay on Jakku in case Poe came back? Or should he try to get off the planet in Fez's ship? The map had to be delivered, and soon. But first they had to get out of this trap, and BB-8 looked at some loose panel on the floor and realized that he had the perfect plan. There they are, giving themselves a little handshake. BB-8's a smart thinker. "Excuse me, Mr. Funny Little Lizard Man. We need your help," said Fez. Teedu ran to see what was wrong, and BB-8 was missing, and there was an opening in the floor. "We're trying to escape, and he fell on the floor," said Fez. Teedu climbed into the cell, looking down at the blank space. "I don't see him." "Look closer." Teedu bent over the hole. "Closer," said Fez. Teedu leaned way over the opening and peered in. With Tito trapped, the two droids were able to escape. "Let's get out of here so you can go home. You can come with me if you want," said Fez. BB-8 let out a series of chirps. "A mission?" asked Fez. "That sounds important. We better get you into the ship. It's picking us up at the ruins." High five. BB-8 and Fez raced across the desert as fast as they could. "The good news is the funny little man is okay," said Fez as he noticed Tito in the distance. "The bad news is he's following us." Suddenly, a flock of angry steelpeckers flew between BB-8 and Fez. BB-8 fled one way and Fez fled the other. The birds didn't know which droid to follow. "Hey, over here!" cried Fez, as trying to get to the steelpeckers' attention. "Run, BB-8! You have to complete your mission!" yelled Fez. "I'll save you!" BB-8 didn't want to leave his friend, but he had to deliver the map, and Fez was already leading the steelpeckers away. Alone once again, BB-8 continued on his journey, and he hoped Fez would be all right. I hope so too. When BB-8 entered Kelvin Ravine, he met a scavenger family. "Please, do you know anywhere we could find something to eat?" asked the mother. "My children are hungry." Was this another trap? The children crowded around BB-8. When he saw their thin faces, he knew it wasn't a trick. He remembered the food packets in the wrecked starship when he had spent the night, but it was in the opposite direction from where he was going. If he hurried, he could get the family food and still make it to the droid ship before it took off. If he hurried. So we've seen a lot of courage in the story so far, and now I'm seeing a sense of compassion too. BB-8 hurried. Yay! Next, BB-8 found a herbivore with an injured leg. BB-8 recalled the medical frigate he'd passed that morning. It would have first aid supplies, but going back for them would probably mean missing the droid ship. BB-8 thought for some time, trying to decide what to do. The herbivore moaned, and BB-8 made up his mind. Tito was never going to catch him on that slow-moving luggabeast. BB-8 almost felt sorry for the weird little guy. Almost, but not really. BB-8 finally made it back to the herbivore with a medical kit. The beast was so happy it licked and kissed him, which wasn't necessarily a good thing. BB-8 worried that he was going to miss the droid ship because he had stopped to help so many people. Just then, as he reached the ruins, he saw something off in the distance. The droid ship, at last! Only it was preparing to launch. Do you think he's going to make it in time? BB-8 raced for the ramp as it started to close. Then he saw another wonderful sight. It was Fez. Fez was okay. He had escaped the steelpeckers, and he too was running for the droid ship. He waved happily to BB-8, who tripped with joy. They were going to make it off Jakku together after all. But then, something terrible happened. Tito appeared, blocking their way. Fez started to panic, but BB-8 quickly formed a plan. He remembered what Tito had said, that BB-8 was more valuable than Fez. He also remembered how Fez saved him from the steelpeckers. BB-8 started to speed away from the ship, and Tito followed BB-8 instead of Fez. "Where are you going?" yelled Fez. BB-8 heartbeat in order. Okay, I'll get on the ship, said Fez. Thank you, BB-8. I'll never forget you for helping me. The massive loading droid made it onto the ramp just in time. BB-8 felt he had BB-8 had felt that he had done the right thing in helping Fez and the hungry family and the injured Happivore. But if he had done such good things, then why was this bad thing happening to him? He was so confused. Maybe Poe was wrong. Maybe you don't get what you give. This scene may look familiar to some of you. Rey to the rescue. Or then again, maybe you do. And a big thank you goes out to Lucasfilm for giving me the permission to make sure that I could read this to you guys. All right, see you next time.